There is a woman in Nagoya who opens her kitchen the same way every single morning. She slides back a small cabinet, takes out one bowl, one cup, and one set of chopsticks, and sets them on a counter that has nothing else on it. Nothing. No appliances lined up along the wall, no stack of mail, no jars of utensils, no clutter of half-used bottles, no gadgets waiting to be useful someday. Just a clean, open surface and the few things she is about to use. She is not wealthy. Her kitchen is not large. In fact, by most standards, it would be considered small. And she is not unusual in Japan. Walk into kitchens all across the country, in tiny apartments and modest homes, and you'll find the same quiet emptiness, the same sense of a space that breathes. Her counter looks the way it does not because she spent the morning tidying, but because most of the things that fill the average kitchen never made it into hers in the first place. And somewhere else in the world right now, someone is standing in their own kitchen, holding a cup of coffee, looking at a counter they can barely see. There's the coffee maker, the toaster, the blender, the air fryer, the stand mixer used twice a year. There's a pile of mail, a bowl of mystery items, 3 different oils, a cluster of utensil jars, a stack of takeout menus, and a small graveyard of things that don't have anywhere else to go. The kitchen isn't dirty exactly, but it feels heavy. It feels like it's always asking something of them, and they've started to accept that as normal, as just how kitchens are. Here's what almost nobody realizes. The difference between these two kitchens has almost nothing to do with cleaning, or discipline, or how much time either woman spends tidying up. It comes down to something far simpler and far more powerful. A clean, calm kitchen is not built by cleaning more. It's built by keeping less. And the Japanese have quietly mastered the art of knowing exactly what does not belong in a kitchen at all. Today, we're going to walk through 12 things that Japanese people, as a general rule, simply do not keep in their kitchens. Some of these will surprise you. A few of them are things you're probably looking at right now, this very second. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll never see your own kitchen counter the same way again, and you'll know exactly which items to remove first to make the whole room feel lighter overnight. Stay with me all the way to number 9, because number 9 is the one that almost every kitchen in the world gets wrong, and it's quietly making your food taste worse and your cooking harder without you ever suspecting it. But it only makes sense once you've seen the 8 before it, so let's build up to it properly. Before we get to the list, there's one idea you need to understand first, because it's the thread that ties all 12 of these together. And once you see it, the whole logic clicks into place. The idea that changes everything. In most of the world, we have a strange relationship with our kitchens. We treat them as storage. Every gadget, every duplicate, every just-in-case item finds its way onto a counter or into a drawer, and we let it stay. Because getting rid of things feels wasteful, and because deciding is harder than keeping. So the kitchen slowly fills, year after year, with objects that we don't really use but can't quite bring ourselves to remove. Japan approaches the kitchen from the opposite direction entirely. The guiding belief is that the kitchen is not a storage room. It is a workspace, arguably the most important workspace in the entire home, because it's where the food that fuels your life, your energy, and your health gets prepared every single day. And a workspace only functions well when it is clear. Every object that sits in that space, unused, is not neutral. It takes up room. It gathers grease and dust. It creates one more thing to clean around, work around, and look at. It adds a small, constant weight to a room that should feel light. There's a Japanese word that captures part of this, matenai, a deep sense of not wanting anything's true value to be wasted, but paired with the understanding that keeping something you never use is its own kind of waste. And there's another idea underneath it all, the principle of prevention over correction. A Japanese kitchen stays clean and calm not because someone is constantly cleaning it, but because the clutter that would need cleaning was never allowed to accumulate in the first place. So as we go through these 12 items, I want you to hold one question in your mind, the same question a Japanese homemaker instinctively asks of everything in the kitchen. Does this earn its place here, today, in the life I'm actually living? If the answer is no, it doesn't belong. Let's begin. Number 1, the countertop full of appliances. Walk into the average kitchen and the first thing you'll notice is the counter, lined with appliances like soldiers. The coffee maker, the toaster, the blender, the air fryer, the stand mixer. The rice cooker, the electric kettle, the panini press, and whatever gadget was bought with great enthusiasm 18 months ago and used exactly twice. In a Japanese kitchen, the counter is treated as sacred working space, not display space or storage space. The general rule is simple and strict. If you are not using it right now, it does not live on the counter. Appliances are stored away in cabinets and brought out only when needed, then put back when finished. Here's the mechanism behind why this matters so much. And it's more than aesthetics. Every appliance sitting on your counter does 3 things to you, quietly, all day long. First, it takes up the workspace you actually need for preparing food, forcing you to cook in a cramped little island of free counter while everything else crowds in. Second, it collects a fine film of airborne kitchen grease and dust, which means each of those appliances becomes one more thing you eventually have to clean. And third, and this is the part almost nobody notices, every object in your visual field is a small piece of clutter your brain has to process. A counter crowded with a dozen appliances creates a low, constant background of visual noise that makes the entire kitchen feel busy and stressful, even when you're just standing there. Clear the counter, and something remarkable happens. The kitchen doubles in usable space. It becomes dramatically easier to wipe down because there's nothing to move first, and it becomes calm. A room you actually want to be in. The shift. Your counter is where you work, not where your appliances live. That's number 1. Number 2, duplicate tools and utensils. Open the utensil drawer in most kitchens, and you'll find an archaeological dig of duplicates. 3 spatulas, 5 wooden spoons, 2 can openers, a tangle of whisks, peelers, and specialized gadgets, most of which do nearly the same job as something else in the same drawer. Japanese kitchens tend toward the opposite. A small, deliberate set of high-quality tools, each one chosen because it does its job well, with almost no duplication. 1 good knife that handles 90% of tasks. 1 good pair of cooking chopsticks. A modest, curated set of what's genuinely needed, and nothing beyond it. The reasoning is both practical and philosophical. Practically, duplicates create clutter and decision friction. Every time you reach into a drawer overflowing with near-identical tools, your brain performs a tiny, unnecessary act of choosing, dozens of times a day. Philosophically, the Japanese approach values the well-made single object over the accumulation of many mediocre ones. It's better to own 1 excellent knife you love and maintain than 5 cheap ones you tolerate. There's a hidden benefit here that goes beyond the drawer. When you own fewer, better tools, you take better care of them. You sharpen the 1 good knife. You clean and store the 1 good pan properly. The relationship you have with your kitchen tools deepens, and the whole space becomes more intentional. The shift, 1 excellent tool beats 5 mediocre versions of it, every time. That's number 2. Number 3, plastic food storage containers with no matching lids. Here's one that lives in nearly every kitchen on Earth. The cabinet or drawer packed with plastic storage containers, none of which seem to have matching lids. You open it, an avalanche of mismatched plastic tumbles out, and you spend 2 full minutes trying to pair a container with a lid that fits, before giving up and using foil. In Japanese kitchens, this chaos is largely absent, and for a specific reason. Storage tends to be a small, matched, stackable set, often glass or high-quality containers that nest neatly and whose lids are accounted for. The mismatched plastic graveyard simply isn't tolerated, because it violates a core principle. Everything in the kitchen should have a clear place and a clear purpose. The mechanism here is about decision fatigue and wasted space. That drawer of orphaned containers takes up real estate you could use for something else. And every single time you open it, it forces a frustrating little search and match operation. Multiply that by every day of your life, and you've spent genuine hours of your existence hunting for a lid. There's also a health and quality dimension worth mentioning. Many Japanese households favor glass over old, scratched plastic because worn plastic can harbor odors, stains, and bacteria in its scratches, and because it holds up better over time. A small, matched set that you actually keep complete is worth more than a cabinet full of plastic you're constantly fighting. The shift. If a container has lost its lid, it has lost its purpose. Let it go, and keep a small matched set instead. That's number 3. Number 4. Expired spices and forgotten condiments. Go and open your spice cabinet after this video, and I promise you'll find them. The spice jar from 3 or 4 years ago. The exotic sauce bought for one specific recipe and never touched again. the condiment in the back of the fridge door that's been there so long you've forgotten it exists. In Japan, the kitchen runs on a principle of freshness that is almost absolute. This is the room where you prepare your life's fuel, your energy, your health, and stagnant, expired food has no place in it. Spices are bought in smaller quantities and replaced. Condiments earn their space by actually being used. What's old goes out. The mechanism goes beyond the obvious. Yes, old spices lose their potency and make your food taste flat and dull. A spice more than a year or two old is often contributing almost nothing to your cooking. But there's a subtler cost too. A cabinet full of dead, expired items sitting in the dark creates a kind of stagnation in exactly the room where you should feel most alive and nourished. Every forgotten jar is a tiny, unfinished decision. A small, "I'll deal with this eventually," that quietly weighs on the space. The fix is simple. Fresh in, old out. Keep the spices and condiments you actually use, in quantities you'll actually finish, and clear the rest. Your food will genuinely taste better, and your cabinet will stop being a museum of forgotten purchases. The shift? Freshness in, expiration out. Your kitchen should feel alive, not like a storage shelf for things slowly dying in the dark. That's number 4. Number 5. The pile of mail, papers, and clutter that isn't even food. This is one of the most universal kitchen problems in the world, and it has nothing to do with cooking at all. The kitchen counter, or the table, becomes the household dumping ground. The mail lands there, the kids' school papers, the random receipts, the takeout menus, the keys, the odd screwdriver, the things that have no home and so end up in the one room everyone passes through. In Japanese kitchens, the cooking space is protected from this kind of invasion. The kitchen is for food and food preparation. Paperwork, mail, and the general clutter of life are kept elsewhere, because allowing non-kitchen items into the kitchen is the fastest way to make a clean space feel chaotic. The mechanism here is powerful and worth slowing down on. That pile of paper is what psychologists sometimes call a silent to-do list. Every single time your eyes pass over it, and in a kitchen that's dozens of times a day, your brain registers it as unfinished tasks, undone chores, things you owe yourself. You're not even reading the papers. Just seeing them delivers a tiny hit of low-grade stress, and it's happening in the room where you're supposed to be nourishing yourself, quietly draining you every time you walk in for a glass of water. Beyond the mental cost, food prep surfaces should be clean for hygiene reasons alone. Mail and random objects that have been who knows where don't belong on the same surface where you chop vegetables. The shift: the kitchen is for food, not for the paperwork of your life. Protect the surface where you prepare what you eat. That's number 5. Number 6, an overstuffed, overflowing refrigerator. Open the fridge in many homes, and you'll be met with a wall of food, packed so tightly that things get lost, forgotten, and eventually thrown away spoiled. Leftovers from 2 weeks ago. Condiments 3 deep. Produce wilting in a drawer, invisible behind everything crammed in front of it. Japanese kitchens tend toward a fridge that is organized, visible, and notably less packed. You can see what you have. Nothing is buried. Food is bought in smaller, fresher quantities and used before it turns. The mechanism is both practical and surprisingly economical. An overstuffed fridge is one where food goes to waste because you literally cannot see what you own, so you forget it, and it rots. Studies on household food waste consistently find that a huge portion of the food people throw away is food they simply lost track of. A fridge you can actually see into is a fridge where far less gets wasted, which means real money saved. There's also an airflow dimension. A refrigerator that's packed too tightly can't circulate cold air properly, which means it works harder, uses more energy, and keeps food less safely. A little breathing room is better for the food, the fridge, and your electricity bill. The Japanese approach of shopping more frequently for fresher, smaller quantities keeps the fridge light, visible, and full of things that will actually be eaten before they turn. The shift: a fridge you can see into is a fridge that wastes nothing. Keep it open, visible, and light. That's number 6. Number 7, cheap, worn-out cookware. In a lot of kitchens, the cookware situation is a mix of the old and the damaged. The nonstick pan whose coating is scratched and flaking, the pot with the loose handle, the cheap set bought years ago that has seen far better days but keeps getting used because replacing it feels like a hassle. Japanese kitchens tend to favor fewer, better pieces of cookware, well cared for and maintained over years. A quality pan is treated as an investment, and looked after, not a disposable object to be used until it falls apart and then reluctantly replaced with another cheap one. The mechanism has a real health angle. That scratched nonstick pan isn't just ugly. As the coating breaks down and flakes, it can end up in your food, and a damaged nonstick surface no longer performs the way it's supposed to, meaning food sticks and cooking becomes frustrating. Worn, damaged cookware is genuinely worth removing, not just for the look of the kitchen, but for the quality and safety of what you're cooking. The deeper principle is the same one that runs through this whole list. Own less, but own better, and take care of what you own. A single well-made pan you maintain for a decade serves you far better than a rotating cast of cheap ones you keep throwing out and replacing. The shift: damaged cookware doesn't just look bad, it cooks badly. Keep fewer, better pieces and care for them. That's number 7. Number 8, single-use gadgets that do only one thing. The kitchen gadget industry is built on a brilliant trick. Convince you that every single task needs its own specialized tool. The avocado slicer, the banana slicer, the strawberry huller, the egg separator, the garlic peeler, the herb stripper, the quesadilla maker, the hot dog toaster. Each one solves a tiny, specific problem, and each one takes up space for the 360 days a year you're not using it. Japanese kitchens are notably resistant to this kind of single-purpose accumulation. The preference is for versatile tools that do many jobs well. A good knife slices the avocado, hulls nothing needed, separates peels and strips, all without a drawer full of specialized plastic. The philosophy values the skilled use of a few flexible tools over the ownership of many rigid ones. The mechanism is clutter and the illusion of usefulness. Every single-use gadget feels useful in the store, in the moment of purchase, when you imagine all the avocados you'll slice. But in reality, it gets used rarely, lives in a drawer permanently, and contributes nothing but crowding. A drawer full of single-use gadgets is a drawer full of decisions you made once and now have to store forever. The fix is to trust versatile tools and your own developing skill. Almost every job a single-use gadget does can be done with a good knife, a good pan, and a little practice. And the space you reclaim is enormous. The shift: a versatile tool in a skilled hand beats a drawer full of single-use plastic. That's number 8. Number 9. The thing almost every kitchen gets wrong. Here it is. Number 9, the one I promised you. The thing that nearly every kitchen in the world gets wrong, and that's quietly making your food worse and your cooking harder without you ever suspecting it. It's the dish rack full of dishes permanently living on the counter. I know, it sounds almost too ordinary to be number 9, but stay with me, because this one reveals something deep about the entire Japanese approach. In most kitchens, the dish drying rack is a permanent counter fixture. Dishes get washed, placed in the rack, and then left there for hours, sometimes days. The rack becomes a semi-permanent storage system, and the clean dishes just live in it until they're needed again, taking up a large chunk of precious counter space the entire time. In Japanese kitchens, the relationship with the dish rack is completely different. Dishes are washed, dried, and put away, returned to their proper home in the cabinet, as part of the same continuous motion. The rack is a temporary tool, used and then cleared, not a permanent installation. Many Japanese kitchens use a drying rack positioned right over the sink, so water drips straight back down, and the whole cycle of wash-dry-store happens in one smooth, unbroken flow, with zero lasting counter clutter. Here's the mechanism, and here's why it matters more than it seems. A dish rack permanently occupying your counter does the same thing every item on this list does. It steals your workspace and creates constant visual clutter. But it also does something worse. It breaks the everything has a home principle at the exact moment it matters most. A clean dish sitting in a rack is a task left unfinished. Its home is the cabinet, not the counter. And by leaving it half put away, you keep the kitchen in a permanent state of almost done, which is exactly the low-grade, unfinished feeling that makes a kitchen stressful. There's a hygiene layer too. Dishes left sitting in standing water and open air can develop a stale, musty quality, and the rack itself becomes a spot for grime and water buildup if it never gets cleared and cleaned. The fix is to treat washing up as a complete action. Wash, dry, and return home, all in one go. Finish the loop. The counter stays clear, the dishes stay fresh, and the kitchen returns to a true resting state instead of a permanent state of almost finished. The shift: A clean dishes home is the cabinet, not the counter. Finish the loop every time. That's number 9. Number 10. Excess dishware and special occasion. Sets you never use. Most kitchens hold far more dishware than the household could ever use at once. The everyday plates, plus the good set for guests that comes out twice a year, plus the inherited china nobody's touched in a decade, plus the random accumulation of mugs, always the mugs, that seem to multiply on their own until a cabinet is overflowing with cups no one drinks from. Japanese kitchens tend to keep a more deliberate, right-sized amount of dishware, enough for the household and reasonable guests, chosen and used, without vast reserves of special occasion pieces gathering dust for years between uses. The mechanism is space and honesty. Every plate and cup you own takes up cabinet room and requires storage, whether you use it or not. The special occasion set that comes out twice a year is occupying prime kitchen real estate for the other 363 days, and the collection of never-used mugs is pure dead weight. There's also a quiet psychological cost to owning things for good that you never actually enjoy. The beautiful set saved for a special day that never quite arrives. The Japanese sensibility leans the other way. Use the things you love now, in everyday life, rather than saving them for an occasion that keeps not coming. Keep what you genuinely use and enjoy, and release the vast reserves you're only storing out of habit or obligation. The shift. Stop saving your best dishes for a someday that never comes. Keep what you use, release the rest. That's number 10. Number 11. Plastic bags, takeout containers, and packaging saved for later. Nearly every kitchen has the drawer, or the cabinet, or the infamous bag of bags, the collection of plastic shopping bags stuffed into one another. The takeout containers washed and saved, just in case. The jars, the boxes, the packaging kept because throwing it away feels wasteful and someday, surely it'll be useful. Japanese kitchens are far more disciplined about this accumulation. While there's a strong cultural value around not being wasteful, it's balanced by an equally strong sense that keeping a mountain of packaging you'll never realistically use is its own kind of waste. Waste of space, of order, of mental clarity. The mechanism is the classic clutter trap dressed up as thrift. Saving packaging feels responsible in the moment, but the reality is that these items accumulate far faster than you could ever use them, and the vast majority are eventually thrown away anyway, after months or years of taking up space. The just in case is a story we tell ourselves, and in the meantime, the drawer overflows and the cabinet jams. The balanced approach is to keep a small, reasonable number of genuinely useful containers and bags, enough for real, likely needs, and to let the rest go, recycling what can be recycled. You lose nothing you'd actually have used, and you reclaim an entire drawer. The shift, keeping more packaging than you'll ever use, isn't thrift, it's clutter wearing a disguise. That's number 11. Number 12, the mental habit of, I'll deal with it later. We end with the most important item of all, and it isn't an object at all. It's a mindset, and it's the single thing that produces every other item on this list. The habit is this: I'll deal with it later. The cup set down on the counter instead of washed. The mail dropped instead of sorted. The gadget kept instead of decided on. The container saved instead of released. Every piece of clutter in a kitchen begins as a single small postponement, a tiny decision deferred to a future version of yourself. And clutter, in the end, is nothing more than thousands of laters piled on top of one another. The Japanese kitchen, at its core, runs on the opposite instinct, the principle of dealing with things now in the moment, while they're small. Use it, clean it, return it. The cup gets washed the moment it's empty. The decision gets made the moment it arises. Nothing gets deferred into the pile, because the pile is never allowed to begin. This is the deepest mechanism of the entire video, the one underneath all 11 items before it. A Japanese kitchen isn't calm because someone spends hours cleaning it. It's calm because the mindset of now instead of later means the mess never gets the chance to form in the first place. Every small thing is handled while it's still small, before it can compound into the overwhelming state that demands a whole weekend to fix. It's the same logic as the 2-minute rule, the same logic as everything has a home, applied not as a chore, but as a way of moving through your own kitchen. Change this one mindset, and you don't have to fight any of the other 11 items individually. They stop appearing on their own, because the habit that created them is gone. The shift, clutter is just 1,000 postponements stacked together. Deal with it now while it's still small and it never becomes big. That's number 12, bringing it all together. So let's gather all 12, because seeing them as one picture is where the real insight lives. The counter full of appliances, the duplicate tools, the mismatched plastic containers, the expired spices, the pile of mail and papers, the overstuffed fridge, the cheap, worn-out cookware, the single-use gadgets, the dish rack that never gets cleared, the excess special occasion dishware, the saved-up bags and packaging, and beneath all of it, the mental habit of, "I'll deal with it later." Notice the thread running through every single one. Not one of these is about cleaning harder. Not one of them is about buying some special organizer or spending money or working a whole Saturday. Every one is about keeping less, and about the quiet, powerful understanding that an empty, open space is not something to be filled, it's something to be protected. The Japanese kitchen is calm not because of what's in it, but because of everything that was never allowed in. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to tackle all 12 tonight. In fact, please don't. Trying to overhaul your entire kitchen in one exhausting burst is exactly the kind of all-at-once effort that collapses by Wednesday. Instead, do what actually works. Choose one. Just one. The one that hit hardest as you were listening. Maybe it's the appliance-crowded counter. Maybe it's the drawer of orphaned lids. Maybe it's the pile of mail that's been quietly stressing you every time you walk in for water. Pick that one item, clear it completely, and just notice how the whole room feels different afterward. That single win is what makes the next one easy. Because a calm kitchen was never really about cleaning. It was about deciding, once and for all, what actually deserves a place in the room where you nourish your life, and having the quiet courage to let go of everything that doesn't. Now I want to hear from you. Out of these 12, which one is sitting in your kitchen right now this very second? Be honest. Tell me the number 1 through 12 down in the comments. Naming it out loud is the first real step toward clearing it. And if this changed the way you see your own kitchen, even a little, share it with one person whose counter you've quietly looked at and thought, they really need this. They might be just one cleared surface away from a kitchen that finally feels calm. I'll see you in the next one.